Alright guys, it is that time of week, and welcome back for another episode of Beginner Breakdowns. I am on Gordon. With me as always is KZA. How you doing tonight, dude?
Doing good. Relaxing after a long week of work, honestly. Busy week.
That's what I'm talking about. It was pretty freaking hot today, and I had to go out to a job site. And it wasn't like the job itself wasn't that bad, but I was just like, I just cannot wait to get home, have a drink, and put on some shorts, because for those of you out there, I'm a IT guy, and formal dress code for like any IT job is jeans and a polo. When it's 90 degrees out, it's not the most comfortable thing to wear, especially when you're digging behind desks and stuff, uninstalling these big computer units. So it kind of sucks, but it's all worth it when you get to go home and just peel all those clothes off and actually put on something that's seasonal, to say the least. So without all that disgusting afterthought, thanks everyone for coming back for another episode, and we have some good matches for you guys this week. So, without too much ado, we are going to get straight into that. And you can obviously see that our first match is Ryu versus Edboy here. Now, we've had 2 weeks to look at Ed. Has it been 2 weeks? 2 or 3 weeks. I feel time has really slowed down since Ed came out. I've just been having that much fun with him. So,
I haven't really gotten a chance to try him as much yet, but I have played against him, and I found that he is hilariously vulnerable to certain deep things. But that's also because of how slow his reversals are, which is something I might go over if that happens in this match.
Oh yeah, he actually has a pretty good V reversal, honestly, when you can use it well, because I've seen some people just blatantly screw it up, and it's like, yep, you deserve that, you deserve to get punished for it. So, we'll see. We got a Fireball game. Actually, they both got Fireball games, because some people forget that Ed has that forward medium punch, and he's got that going for him. And it's funny you mentioned backdash in the chat there, because for a split second I thought invulnerability frames on backdash, because I have been playing Injustice nonstop. I'm just like, wait, is backdash invulnerability a thing in this game? It's like, no, it couldn't be. That'd be too broken. I think there is like a little bit on command grabs, but nah. If it was like full invincibility, we'd have riots on our hands. That just wouldn't be good. So, without further rambling until we actually get into the match, because that's KZA's job, we are going to start the video and we are going to see what these guys have. And we will go to our field crew.
Round 1.
Right there.
Fight! New stage 2, which is nice. Haven't seen any Vegas on it yet, though, so I can't comment on this climbing abilities.
You know what? That needs to go, because that's way too loud. There we go. Okay. Bing. Okay. Ooh, I was trying to go for the frame trap right there, but just was not falling for the bait.
It's not a very real frame trap either way, because it's a huge frame gap on that Psycho Upper. It's something like, what, like 10 or 11 frame startup? So if you use a short recovery move like a jab, you can often just preempt it. Like, that's what I've been using on Eds a lot while playing, is using a short meaty, like a low short, because they almost always will instinctively go for the reversal on a meaty eventually, and that low meaty recovers before his EX Psycho Upper hits, allowing me to just punish it.
Yeah, and as time goes on, people are going to find those little... Ooh, see, like right there, he fell for it. I'm kind of surprised he did. The first time, I feel like that was attributed to character unfamiliarity, but no, it worked out that time. But, ooh, we get a good EX DP right there. And he just... Ooh, I was about to say he had some good corner pressure, but maybe not so much.
This Ed is jumping entirely too much of this Ryu. This Ryu has demonstrated pretty conclusively early on here that his anti-airs are strong when he's not getting caught throwing fireballs. So I would not, like, you've got to read down your opponent. If people, we say don't jump in, and I mean that. Don't jump in too much, but when you jump in at someone and they don't react, feel free to do it a couple more times until they start reacting. But if they react the first time, really, cut it out. You don't want to keep jumping in if ooh, that was bad.
Yeah, I kind of cringed right there too. Yeah, he's jumping a little bit too much, and as a boxer character, and they are historically not very good on air-to-air stuff. Oh, that's just not fair. Now, this Ryu better make sure that he has this match, or he's gonna feel like a real idiot. And just the third time that's worked in a row that he's fell for that. Ooh, and you could tell he was wanting to go for that DP right off that V trigger, but just a little out of range. Now there's just blatant teabagging going on. He's just having a Boston Tea Party over there. Oh, it just doesn't follow up off. He played himself. He played himself good.
So one thing, if we rewind to the start of that match, kind of go through it, one thing you'll notice is that Ryu kind of maintains his spacing a certain way throughout the match, and I think that really hurts Ed. Like, Ed has some longer moves, but mostly he wants to be fairly close. And if you watch where Ryu tends to let Ed stand, he's letting him stay, like, just a little bit too far away for most of his good stuff to work. Like, right there.
Yeah, and I'm starting to see what you're talking about. This Ed is relying way too much on jump-ins for direct pressure, and that is just the wrong way to go about this. He has so many good tools to get inside. Now, his neutral is average at best, but he doesn't need to jump in for pressure. He's got a projectile, he's got an invincible DP, like, quote-unquote DP, so it's not like he's handcuffed here. He's got some things to get in, but jumping in blatantly is not going to do the job.
He's got, charging up the grab move and using it to catch Ryu, like, lurking back there. Like, that's something he's just not using, despite the fact that Ryu doesn't really have a response to it. Like, yeah, so that's a pseudo frame trap that's only going to work. The other guy's kind of dumb, honestly. Like, you really shouldn't be punishing that with anything heavy enough to get hit. Like, Ed wants to be, like, either throwing fireballs and trying to get that grab move at a fairly long range, or he wants to be pretty close, because, again, his neutral with his regular buttons isn't very good, so he doesn't want to be at about that mid-screen range. But the rounds Ryu takes here, he's holding Ed really well at that kind of range, where his only option is that standing heavy kick, or, trying to charge heavy punch. Like, he loses there because Ed stays on him. Whenever he can keep Ed at that, like, space range, he starts winning. And that's a thing you can learn for any character. Like, every character has it. I'm still really sad about this.
Yeah, every single time. Cry. Yeah, like if you cry every time.
Like, when you got pressure, you get pressure. Oh, he drops that combo too, so bad. But like right here, this is where Ryu actually starts playing smart, because he's got the lead. Like, notice that Ed's moves only have a certain amount of reach, and this Ryu starts doing this teabaggy bullshit, like right at that range where Ed really doesn't have a lot of options. So like, watch here, like Ed starts throwing shit, but he's just, what are you gonna do, Ed? What are you gonna do? You gotta come over here.
Yeah, he's just tossing those fireballs. He's not doing anything about it. Like, right there, he dashes in, but, it was after 6 fireballs he actually decided to do that, and then he misses the cross-up opportunity right there to follow up with the combo, and he just digs his own grave so much right there.
Like, there are characters who have decent neutral. I'm not really going to put Ryu in that, but I think is probably good against Ed. But, like, I'm thinking Chun-Li, I'm thinking Cammy, I'm thinking Karen. You've got to learn how to cross that sort of zone of death where they can throw those pokes out and hold you back. Every character has tools to do that, minus like meterless birdie or something like that, but you just have to know what those tools are and be willing to use them. Like Ed right there, I would have started using Charge V skill. I would have started using, using that fireball pressure. I would have started trying to get that V trigger going maybe at a long range and walk behind it. Just finding ways to close that distance.
Yeah, because Ryu can play a bit of a far game. He's that jack of all trades character. He can make it work if you fall for that trap of, playing your opponent's game. And if you start doing that and you don't have any backup plans, and then you're going to have a really hard time coming back with anything. So, in conclusion, yeah, like you said, this Ed just wasn't taking good opportunities. He also was just playing Ryu's game way too much, and it just ended up messing him up way too long. And yeah, by the time he got to the end, he hadn't even really figured it out. So, kind of a shame, but we'll see how Ed evolves in these next couple months. And really, what I'm interested in seeing is how he'll evolve once EVO comes around, because there is a chance I may actually bring him into EVO if I keep having this much fun with him. So that will have to be seen. But I'm wondering if there's going to be any strong Ed players going into EVO, maybe make it out of pools. There's got to be at least one that makes it. I mean, that's just stats right there. So, yeah, we'll see. If you watch the infiltration video, it was on the Street Fighter subreddit, and he was kind of going over just some little things. It's like a little 1-minute video. He said his strengths, obviously, his mix-ups, anti-airs, and he's got his damage is really dependent on EX and using his bar. But, his neutral, like I said, average at best. And, he kind of lacks in a few other departments. So he's kind of, at that mid-range tier is what I think a lot of people would say. So it'll be interesting once EVO comes around in those sorts of tournaments and once Capcom Cup starts rolling up. But that's a little bit of a ways, and we will just have to wait and see. So next video match, whatever you want to call it, we will pull it up promptly. And as you can see is the battle of the DLC characters, Akuma versus Urien. Now, we may have actually covered this matchup before at some point, but I'm trying to remember, because this is a little interesting, because we have stubby neutral, there's stubby normals from Akuma versus not so stubby normals from Urien. And, the projectile game is somewhat even, minus Akuma's, Urien can't be throwing air fireballs, which would just make him ridiculously OP. So, KZA, let's hear some of that good rant on your insights.
Definitely, even after the Season 2.5 nerfs, I'm still going to have to hand this to Urien. I don't know if this match is before or after that. Honestly, it doesn't really matter, because the issue is basically that Akuma depends heavily on getting in to do his damage, and he has to stay on them and stay pretty much perfect to get real safe damage going. Whereas Urien is like the opposite of that in every way. He's got like all these safe things he can throw out at you. He's got all this long range poke. Akuma's going to have a hell of a time getting in against him. The only thing I will say is he does have one major advantage over a lot of people on getting in on Urien, which is that his air fireball will counter an uncharged Urien upward fireball, so he can do a certain amount of jumping from long range and do that to just close the distance. But at the end of the day, Urien just got so much range on Akuma, it's hard for me to say that the damage values make up for that.
Yeah, and if Urien can get these air fireballs, I'm just creating just fantasy patches in my head. If he can get these upward fireballs rolling, then he can really shoot down Akuma's lots of shenanigans. So we'll just have to see. Let's get this video going and see how it goes. We'll go to our on-field camera. This really is the battle of the hair in this match. It really is. There's just gallons of shampoo being used just everywhere.
Akuma thong skin win.
This isn't the thong one, though. You know, I don't think they can get that lewd with the long flowing hair and the thong. I think some people just couldn't handle that. Just couldn't handle it.
So here's what you kind of expect at the start of this match. You know, Akuma really has to figure out how to get in, and then he super unsafe teleport, gets super punished for it. Just totally deserved that.
Yeah, and the damage is already piling up, just exponentially.
Like, this Akuma is doing that same thing. He's playing Urian's game. Akuma needs to get in there, and he's got to find a way to do it safely. He should be thinking about how to get in safely. Instead, he's throwing out random shit from all the way over there. Like, Urian isn't taking the punishes he should, but like it still doesn't matter. He just can't do anything.
Oh, this is getting a little cheeky right there. He got a good knockdown, but he's not going to be able to do anything with it on a mistimed meaty and loses the round.
Get those meaty timings tight, everybody. There's 0 characters where meaty timings aren't important, and it's especially important for certain characters. Like, practice that stuff. Figure out a setup, or practice it till you're relatively accurate on manual timing. It doesn't really matter. Just get those meaty timings on point when you can take advantage of them.
This Akuma is getting super lucky on all of his jumps and somehow managed to scrounge himself a stun. Let's see if he knows how to do a good combo here, and he kind of goofs it up on a bad button. And then just lets go of that corner pressure, and that was not what he needed.
Yeah, like, Akuma thrives on corner pressure. He is probably the second happiest person to have you in the corner, I would say, right after Zangief.
Yeah, well, you know, that and Bison, he can't afford to let go of that offensive pressure because he just does not have... Ooh, that was a good teleport right there, but didn't really land on anything. But, you know, Akuma's so offensive-oriented that you have to put him in that position to where he could do as much damage as possible. And at full screen, Akuma cannot do a thing. And he needs to realize that, or he is not going to get a lot of damage.
This Urian, on the other hand, like, I would say he's mostly winning this because Akuma's playing badly for the matchup. Like, this Urian is missing so many opportunities. All these whiffed Shoryus and, like, goofy, you know, whiffed moves in the middle of nowhere. If he was properly punishing those, this match would have been over by now.
And there's one anti-air fireball that was successful. But I don't think it's going to matter. Just Akuma doesn't seem to...
Ooh, another taunt.
Yeah, this is just the most disrespectful episode of beginner breakdowns I've just ever seen. This is despicable. Why do we have to go down to this, you know, level of smut and disgustingness?
So, that's really like the matchup in a nutshell right there. Why you win and lose that matchup. If Akuma had tried to get in more, maybe he would have lost faster, but also maybe he would have actually gotten something done. Like, you don't want to die that slow death as a lot of characters. Like, some characters, you want to make your opponent die that slow death. Sim, Guile, Urian, Buri to some degree can all kind of keep you away from them and make you die that very slow death by inches. But most characters, you really don't want that. You want to be in there. So, you know, don't fall into that trap against a character who likes to play that long game. Always have it in your head that if you're playing a character like Akuma or, you know, Cammy, Karen, Zangief, most of the cast, your thought should always be, okay, how do I get in on this guy if they're playing like that? Not, okay, what should I do from all the way out here, but how do I not be out here?
Yeah, and yeah, that's a good point. And part of that is just learning. You know, these guys are in bronze, so you can't blame them too much. You know, based on assumptions, these guys probably don't know the matchup well, and it's just all part of learning those matchups. And the best way to do that is not by reading about it, it's not by theory fighting, it's by actually playing the game over and over and over and over again. Even if you lose a bunch, you still have a takeaway. You know, that's where I try to teach people, you know, don't feel bad about losing, because a true loss would mean you don't have anything to take away. When you lose, you learn something, you see how you lost, you figured out, okay, this doesn't work, I need to try something else, and it's just that trial and error to eventually win more. So, that's the whole thing. Don't think of losing as losing. It's an opportunity to build off that and move on. So that's all I got to really say about that.
Yeah, I also highly recommend watching your own replays and just kind of thinking through, like, what was I thinking here? Like, what was I trying to do and what happened? Like, especially if you take a crushing loss, it's super valuable to go back and go, okay, so he got me here, here, and here. Like, what did I do wrong? Did I open myself up? Did I let him, keep me out? What mistake did I make that resulted in that crushing loss? And so maybe next time it's not so crushing.
Yeah, and I'm somewhat guilty of, not wanting to look at my replays because it gets cringy of just, oh my god, how did I lose to this? If I'm playing in Diamond and have a loss to someone in Gold, I don't want to look at that replay. It's going to make me feel bad, hurt my feelings, but it's a good thing. You really just gotta hop over that barrier of pride and just be like, okay, I screwed up. Let's see how we can fix that. So, that's pretty much all we have to say on this match. So, before we get into our next one, we're gonna have a little station identification. We are new challenger.gg, and chances are, if you're watching this, you are already part of our community on the Discord, where you like to hang out, learn stuff, and just have a general good time. But if you're new and just finding us on Twitch, we are a pretty cool group of guys, so you should come check us out. Most of the action happens in our Discord. That's where all the action is, tournaments, lobbies, coaching. And if you're all interested in being in that, come check us out. Also, we do regular VODs on our shows, which you can find at YouTube, and you can stay up to date on all of our latest news on Twitter, so check it out and see what we're all about. So, getting into our next match, let's pull this up. Technology be cool. I said technology be cool. And okay. Yeah, you just gotta whip technology into submission sometimes. It's really the only way. Alright. So, you can't see it right now really, but our next match will be Vega versus Colleen. And this will be the first Colleen we've had on the show. And against Vega, it's, safe to say this is a pretty low-key matchup. Because this is probably, actually no, this isn't the first time I've seen this because I've just recently started playing Vega again a little bit. And I've faced some Colleens, and it can be very not fun for me. Because stand HP with Claw just makes me want to cry my eyes out. So, KZA, I don't know what your Colleen experience / knowledge is. I know she kind of flew under the radar for a majority of players just because she's very unique with how she plays. Yeah, I see you nodding over there. So, based on what you've seen, you play Geef, and when you approach Colleen, what are you looking for when you're trying to figure out, okay, what's the best way I can get in? What's the best way I can get some damage on this chick?
So Colleen is very weak against Geef, honestly, because she has all these counters and crazy things, and they don't work at all on throws. So, like, against command grab characters, that's kind of a big weakness, especially if you can't read like what height they're going to go for, if they are going for regular meaty. But like the big thing that makes Colleen suffer is that she doesn't do a lot of damage on her conversions, except if she gets counters and such like her counters really hurt, but the rest of her stuff doesn't. So she tends to get out damaged. The problem is that's also kind of true of Vega, except without the counter bit, he just doesn't do a lot of damage. So this is kind of a slow-paced matchup in my opinion, just two people taking small chunks off each other for a long period of time. The she's very weak to things like empty jump throws and various baits against her parries, but Vega doesn't like have a lot of faster moves, which means that he tends to get parried if he takes his long pokes. So it's going to be kind of a brawl, I think.
Yeah, there's really not a lot of good ways here for either of them, because Colleen is going to have to, you know, rely on counters and being able to get in on Vega, but if Vega can play a good keep-out game, she's obviously not going to be able to do that. So, and it's kind of vice versa with Vega. If, you know, if this Colleen doesn't go balls deep at the beginning, then he's going to have to work for his damage. And Colleen's got a decent neutral. Like, that's stretching it even. Okay, maybe decent, but, you know, that's because I feel Vega has an advantage here in this matchup. So, since we really don't know what we're talking about, JK, we actually do know. JK, maybe. JK, who really knows? Let's just get into the match and stop talking and making ourselves seem stupid.
That skin makes it look like he's not wearing pants for a second, which kind of scares me.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would like that. I'm sure there are some people who would. But we got a good sweep there from this Colleen. We got some specials being rolled out. And like you said, this is really just turning into a bit of a brawl.
Yeah, like both of them are going to work better against each other up close, so it's really a matter who can take advantage of that, I feel.
Not a very good use of all that, and we're gonna get a solid combo right there, but unfortunately kind of drops. And then a missed critical art, and things are just going from bad to worse for both of them.
Yeah, so this is what's sometimes referred to as a scramble situation. Like, you can kind of tell by looking at it what that means, but what it comes down to is that both of them are kind of, their strategies have both mutually fallen apart, right? They're both basically on top of each other, both kind of improvising, coming up with things on the fly. So it comes down to who can get more damage out of the scramble.
Yeah, it's like no one has a succinct turn, and it's just pretty much throwing out fists, seeing what hits.
Both of them are failing to punish things. Like, both Parabellum and the Roll are very minus and can theoretically be jab-like punished. But both of them are kind of hesitating and eating shit for it.
Yeah, and you could tell, this Colleen's playing a little better. Got a stun right there, but is not going to get the kill. Ooh, and gonna get a, yep. Not the best use right there. Got caught sitting on his heels and caught a fat critical art into his face. Loses the match. Feels bad, man. Okay.
Got crush counter on their critical on their attempts using their V triggers there too, which was kind of embarrassing.
It's very embarrassing, and as someone who plays Vega, hurts my feelings. Okay, so looking back, nothing really happened distinctly until like the second round, I would say, because like we were talking about, this was very much a scramble in the first round. Like, nothing was really working. It was just a big mishmash of stuff being thrown. Nothing was really going on. It just was kind of a hot mess of attacks being thrown, random counters, unoptimized opportunities, random Street Fighter V at its finest.
So this is why we tell people all the time, you know, train your combos, train your this, train your that. It's so that when you're in a situation like this where you're just kind of like reacting to shit and trying to figure out what the hell's going on, your muscle memory is there. So when you do land stuff like that Vega combo there was really good. Like, he dropped the last bit a little bit, but it was overall a good combo. I bet you he's trained that damn thing so many times that even while he was just going like, what the fuck is going on, it came out. Like, that's the kind of thing you have to win those situations. The ability to, even if your brain is so confused, you don't have any idea what's going on, get something out of every opportunity.
Yeah, and, this kind of falls in with what we were talking about before in our other matchup. It takes time to learn these things, and you know, the, what do you call it, muscle memory and the character knowledge. It's not things you can really learn really fast. You know, you have to work at it, and you really have to put your body to the test to really just brand it into your being and your playstyle.
Agreed. And while we're still on this matchup, like I said, kind of a rough one. In general, like I see a lot of people struggle against Colleen because you don't see her a lot, and you know those counter parry moves mess up a lot of people's basic game plans if they're predictable about them. Just keep in mind, basically, don't jump in at her because the air parry is the easiest one to land. She just throws it out as you come down at her. Or if you do jump at her, mix in the occasional where you just empty jump and then immediately throw her once you land. Because, you know, if she tries to parry that, and you'll just land and throw her, and then she can't do shit about that. It's even better if you have an air to ground throw like Cammy's Hooligan combo, or something like that. Like that's one of the few times I would advise using Hooligan combo, is because Colleen is going to be very confused about how to deal with it. In general, she tends to use that backdash slot to gain space. Be willing to get aggressive. It's not particularly safe. You can, like if she's using it just to retreat, be willing to just keep moving at her. And if she's using it to keep coming back at you, she's got fairly limited options out of it, most of which can be stuffed. So she shouldn't be using it unless it's part of a pressure string. So if she just uses it raw, be ready to stuff whatever's coming at you. Throw out something, long and pokey, and just let her run into it.
Yeah.
Also, keep in mind, if she whiffs that counter, she's in a super, 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 super dangerous state for her, and you should beat the crap out of her for any counter whiffs. Like, she is a character that wants to play cat and mouse, but crumples quickly if you get consistent pressure that isn't predictable.
Yeah, that's a really good point. You just gotta throw out some good neutral buttons, and she'll have a hard time dealing with them. But if she gets those parries rolling, that's a whole another story. So we'll just leave it at that. So, moral of the story, don't be predictable, but don't feel like you have to let her come in all the time, because that's definitely not the case. And interesting comment from Lithium's here, really liking how Claw's looking in the patch. I would agree he did get some help. My biggest gripe, and I know I'm not alone here, he really just needs a better hitbox on his Stain HP with Claw, because I swear it just breaks so many hearts around the world when, that Claw rips right through somebody's animation or avatar, whatever you want to call it, and does not connect. And it is just the most painful thing to watch. And yeah, it feels bad. It feels really bad, man. So that's pretty much all we got to say on this match. So let's get into our next one as we pull that up. Oop. Let's pull that up real fast. If I actually know how to work a computer, I might be able to. Who really knows? Okie dokie. Alrighty. So, last match that we have today on the show is between Ed and Balrog. We have Ed Boy again. And we have one of my favorite characters, Balrog, for obvious reasons. Now, this is the Destiny match right here, and best served as the last one, of course. So, I really like Balrog, and I really like Ed. But I feel it would be stupid to say that Ed actually has an advantage in this matchup, because no one has an advantage against Balrog, and that is just the God's honest truth to all ends. So, KZA, what do you think here? How bad does Balrog beat Ed here? Give me like that ratio from 1 to 10. 1 being beats his brains in, 10 being beats more of his brains in.
I mean, it's not the worst matchup he has, because, Ed has a lot of tools for, like, catching dash straights on the way in, like keeping that fireball up, stuff like that. But yeah, Ed's problem is, like we kind of mentioned earlier, that Ed needs to really burn meter to do damage. And against Balrog, the damage Ed has really just doesn't cut it, because Balrog can just do that same damage right back with much less effort. Like, that's kind of the reason Balrog is so bad, is that he just does so much damage, and it makes characters like Ed, who rely upon doing smaller amounts of more consistent damage, very, very sad, because they can get reversed on any time.
Yeah, and all it takes is for Balrog to do 1 or 2 slick moves to get inside, and then it's game over, because Ed's not going to have a really fun time at that range of just that close range beatdown. He could be reversal. He could do invincible DP. He's got a 3-frame. But at that point, like, his up-close game and defensive game is about as good as Balrog's. Actually, no, it's actually better than Balrog's with the invincible DP, but that's really about it. So, just knowing these two characters, I gotta say Balrog definitely has this advantage. Now, obviously, you can see that there's a, LP gap here, so we'll see how this goes down. But if you ask me, Balrog is going to put the hurt on and will definitely bust him up.
So, on the other hand, this is a major LP difference. That doesn't always matter, but we're looking at what is that? Platinum?
Yeah, it's a platinum versus a gold.
So, we'll see if that skill gap makes up for the character gap. It can very much do so, because, it's not like Ed is bad. He just has to work a little harder. So that skill gap might be what he needs to work hard enough. We'll see, though. Yeah, see, like, stuff like that. That's what you start seeing at higher levels, reactions to air moves like that, dashing under rather than just trying to air or block. Like, you've got a lot of getting better is knowing more of your options and being able to pull them out on command.
We got a good combo right there from Ed. Really good. Good opportunity to get some damage.
I'm seeing a lot of Eds miss out on finishing those combos. Like, they forget they can do stuff like V-skill after that. Like, he's still very much unoptimized, so I think that's going to be a big thing that he's going to get better over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I noticed Balrog missing a couple opportunities for damage. That was a really good invincible DP right there. We'll see if he can finish it out, and he's going to catch a good... Oh, and he misses the V-trigger. Oh, that one hurt my soul, but he's... Oh my god, stop. Just finish the match, for God's sakes. Just do it. If Balrog doesn't win this, I'm going to be really sad. Thank God. My God, that one hurt my soul so much. Oh, yeah, there's so many missed opportunities for damage.
That was one of those moments where if Balrog had hit that combo, it would have been just what I said. Ed had done all of his nice, consistent damage, and Balrog just shits all over it in, like, one combo.
Yeah, that match could have been over 15 seconds earlier.
You can definitely see the skill gap here. Like, if you notice, Balrog is consistently getting his ass kicked in neutral, or like when Ed is on the offensive. It's just that, like, it's the character's massive damage that's keeping him in the game.
Yeah, and this Balrog is just not able to do optimized V-trigger setups, and that's what's really killing him right here, because he really needs that to, to play him at his top optimization. And if you can't, bust out that good V-trigger, then it's just not going to work. And yeah, just some very general neutral, going blow for blow essentially. No one's really making any substantial ground. Get a good V-skill right there. Very conservative play. No one going for anything too crazy. And bad punish opportunity off the EX right there.
Oof, eats it. Should not have gone for that kick.
Could have gone for a lot more damage right there if he didn't go for the V-skill setup. Ooh, good critical art right there.
Yeah, you can see this Ed, like, that's the skill gap. This Ed is consistently landing his strong combos, lots of damage, like, for Ed. You know, not as much as Balrog could be getting, but a lot of damage for who he's playing. And this Balrog is not getting that damage. Like, if that Balrog had consistently confirmed those combos he was getting into real damage or resets, he could have taken both those first rounds, no trouble. Like, he had the resources, he had the timing, he even got the hits, he just didn't get the damage out of them.
Yeah, and that's really a shame, because if you want to play really good Balrog, you need to know how to get every last drip of damage out of his setups and combos, because that is where he shines, and you need to know how to do that. And it pains me when I see stuff like this, where people are dropping V-trigger combos, dropping these easy setups, and I know this is really pretentious talking from me, but it's just like, if you want to play that good Balrog, it is the most important thing. Character specifically. Just learn those setups and learn those things. I'm getting really triggered by it. So, I'll go back to the beginning of this bit here in this first round, just so I can hurt myself again watching. And, you know, it starts out, you know, neutral E enough, and it turns into more combo stuff. This Ed actually takes a solid, you know, offensive positioning, gets some good combos in, as we're about to see. You know, gets himself decently set up, going for some cross-up misses, but he gets that corner effectively enough. By the way, Ed does have some solid corner pressure. You know, that could have been a V-trigger setup right there. You count him, just count him up. Missed it right there. Gets beat right there. Should have just gotten killed, honestly.
Right there. Should have popped V-trigger, continued that combo, probably could have closed the round, but didn't do it for some reason.
Ugh. I will attribute this that maybe he just doesn't know all those setups, and that could be it. It very well could be it, because, you know, when he does a V-trigger off, you know, a blocked dash punch, that makes me wonder. But still, like I said, it is one of the most important things for him, and you have to know the setups if you want to play that broken Balrog.
Yeah, like, Balrog is a character who depends 100% on landing his damage in combos. I think one of the characters I compare him to is Karen. Like, you know, they don't have a lot of anti-air options comparatively. They don't have a lot of this. They don't have a lot of that. What they thrive on is getting those huge damage combos with their resources. And if you can't do that with that character, like, after practicing, like, by the time you reach gold, basically, if you can't do that, you're probably not playing someone suited for you. You really got to be able to land those consistently.
Yeah, and I say it over and over again, and you guys have probably remembered it. Two most important things when you're playing a fighting game or wanting to learn is how to get to your damage and how to deal your damage. And typically dealing the damage is attributed to muscle memory and character knowledge, and is actually amplified more so in getting to your damage, because that's where mix-ups come into play. And Balrog is very dependent on those mix-ups, and his V-skill is testament to that. Just being able to fake out your opponent and, you know, just get him for a loop, get that V-trigger out, spin that bar, and just bust him up for everything it's worth. That's really what you gotta focus on.
And another point I'd like to make, I don't know if this Balrog was screwing this up or he just legitimately dropping them, but like a lot of people are hesitant to use all that bar, but you see right here, Balrog is dying with both of his bars completely full. If it'll win you the round, blow that fucker. Like, don't blow it unnecessarily. Don't use a super when they have like 1 health left, you can combo something else. But if it's what you need to close the round, use those resources. There's nothing more embarrassing than dying with the full stick of butter.
Yeah, and yeah, you really gotta get into, don't like spend EX, or don't spend your bar just recklessly. Be, you know, smart with it. Use it when you can. Use it when it's most optimal. But no, when you're sitting on a full bar and you don't even know what to do with it, you know, you're not doing anything with it, and you're just handcuffing yourself at that point. And yeah, so there's not a whole lot more I could say on that that's already been said. So we're getting kind of to the end of our program here. So KZA, what do you think is the overlying thing that we saw throughout this entire episode?
Kind of two things. One is being able to adapt quickly when you're kind of in that scramble mode. Like all four of these matches, there's been a period where both guys are just kind of like flailing a little bit, you know, getting their footing because they're on top of each other and they're not sure whose turn it is. And whoever came out on top tended to be the one who eventually won the round. So being able to, you know, either autopilot your way out of those to safety, or, you know, being able to keep your presence in mind, which is better, and like figure out what you can do while successfully navigating those. Big skill to learn, hard to learn because it's all in your head, but, you know, keeping your head in the game, realizing when you're in that situation and figuring out how to get out of it safely, big plus. Other thing I saw a lot of in this one, people having trouble getting in or failing to take advantage of getting in. And, you know, that's more your 2 points earlier. That's what all that is. And there's so much we could go over that goes into that about spacing and approach. But the key points are really, you know, you've got to learn your character's options to get in, and then start learning all the other characters' options to keep you out. And then from there, you got to figure out how to apply that.
Yeah, and that's very true, because when you start getting to the, you know, high competitive level, and you see this in tournaments, the doing the damage, that's pretty much all covered. That is like aced. Everyone has like a doctorate in that. But the biggest thing in tournament play, especially at that high level, is being able to get to your damage, and that's where all that, you know, hidden tech and all these hype plays where you don't even know what's going on, all these mix-ups you've never seen before are starting to have light shown on them. You know, that is the most important thing, is just those hard mix-ups, faking out your opponent, because everyone has that iron defense at that competitive play, and you just need to, you know, really scan your opponent and find those chinks in the armor to get through it and get that damage, because that is what gets you those big wins at that level. But I think that is just about going to do it from us. Thank you everyone for coming by for our episode of Beginner Breakdowns. We are new challenger. As you already know, we do all the tournaments, coaching, and all that fun stuff in our Discord. Check out some of our videos on our YouTube channel. We have all of our tournament replays, Beginner Breakdown replays, and please check out our Twitter for any updates on anything we do. And if you're already here on Twitch, give us a follow. Stay up to date on any live streams we do. I could tell you personally, I've started getting into speedrunning Street Fighter V, and I've already been told by like 99% of people how stupid that is. But I'll keep doing it. If there's people speedrunning SpongeBob on this website, then I really shouldn't be taking any crap for running Street Fighter V. So you could just take that to the bank. But that's about all we got for you guys tonight. Thank you for coming by, and be sure to get in the Discord, get those replays in, and if you haven't already seen, check out our email address at the bottom if you want to send any in. It is nch.beginner.breakdowns@gmail.com. If you want to send a replay in, send in the replay ID, CFN, Discord ID if you're in our Discord, and your name on Twitch so we can give you a proper shout out. Or if you want to be our best friends, be sure, what you could do is send us a direct YouTube video of your replay, and we will love you for the rest of your life, because it just makes our lives that much easier. So be sure to do that. But from us over here at New Challenger, or what do you got to say, KZA?
YouTube specifically, though. Other video services are kind of a pain, and we'd have to re-record them anyway.
Yeah, that is the big thing. It has to be YouTube. Keep that in mind, guys. It has to be YouTube. But that's going to be it from us here at New Challenger. I'm Encore, and with me as always is KZA. Have a good weekend, and we will catch you same time next week, 8 p.m. Friday. We will see you there. Alrighty. Good night, guys.
Man, I wish we had online training mode. There's definitely some, like, I kind of wanted, if there was an online training mode,